Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Nishmas Mordechai. We're going to start over the Kapitel Tehillim. For those who need a lot of Tehillim, over Shabbos, my son's principal from Torah Shalom, Rabbi Koretz, his first cousin, was killed in action, like a 39-year-old. They had a whole group of older chayalim. They went into a house that was an apartment that was booby-trapped, and I think 4 of them were killed instantly. I think we had 5 casualties over Shabbos, unfortunately. So we're davening for the chayalim, we're davening for all those who are injured, and of course for the kidnapped kids, women, adults. Shir Hamal, we can say it together, Rabbi say. Shir Hamalo is mi mamakim grosicho Adonai Adonai Shemo v'kveli tienos necho kashuvois l'kol tachanunoi im avoinoi s'shmorio Adonai mi amoin kimcho aslicho l'mati vorei kivisi Adonai kimso nafshi v'ledvoroi cholti Nafshi ladinoi, mishomrim laboiker, shomrim laboiker. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai, kim Adonai yachesed v'arbei imoi v'dus, hu yivdes Yisrael michol avonisov. Acheinu kol beis Yisrael anesunim b'tzoro v'shivya. Hoim dem bein b'ayom u'bein b'yabosho. Amokim rachim aleihem v'yitzim b'tzoro l'rvacha u'me'afeilo li'oiro mishuv l'gula. Hashto b'aglo v'zman koriv v'rimar omein. Thank you very much again to the Saka family for hosting us. Welcome to all the guests. There's some people that have never been to the shir before. So what we do is we start off, I receive numerous emails every day, and I pick some of the ones that I like, and I read them off. First of all, to get to know different people from around the world, and also to give us chizuk and inspiration, some of them. So here's the first one. Dear Rebelli, I'm not sure if women write you emails or not. I'm going to write it anyways. First of all, I would like to thank you for an amazing spiritually uplifting Shabbos of Achdus. So I want to share a story of Achdus of MDY. I really want to get away for Shabbos. I was telling my husband that this Shabbos would be a win-win for both of us. I get to go away for Shabbos while also getting to see your MDY family in action. My husband told me that with a pending Tzav Shmona, we cannot afford to go away. Tzav Shmona is when they call you up for the army to come serve. Now, this pending Tzav Shmona, if you're a certain age, you don't really get it right away. Says there's a chance that his income would dry up any day. It's unbelievable. Not only do they go to war, but they lose their income. Wow, it's very. By the way, you could do a Tzav Shmona on vehicles. So the Israeli army says, I want all these ambulances. So they told like Ichrat Sola and Hatzolah Ramat Shemesh, we need all your ambulances, we need all your trucks. They go to people, you have this kind of machinery, whatever, we're taking it. We need it for the war effort. That's a Tzav Shmona. It's not only on human beings, but it's also on Kalim as well. The Wednesday before Shabbos, my husband went to a family affair. When he came home, he says we can pack as we'll be going to the Shabbos. When I asked him what made him change his mind, and he said that another family member from MDY was also at this Simcha, and he not only offered to pay, he made him make the reservation on the spot for both of us and our son as well. I was and still am moved beyond words how someone that their only connection, she wrote family, but she meant MDY family. Their only connection is through MDY would do this for us. Because my husband will be leaving Motzi Shabbos Chayit Tzara for Tzav Shmona. I'm davening that Mashiach should come before he has to leave. Thank you. I'm purposely anonymous. I did not tell my husband about this email. So once again, Oive, I left in the email by mistake. Maybe we'll have to erase it, but it's something about gifts, so if anybody wants to buy a gift, okay. Usually take those out. The chesed that we had over Shabbos, not just the achdos, and just the chesed between different members, people that wanted to come, like the Koil guy that wanted to come, and he wrote me an email literally Thursday night, and by Shabbos he was already there. Just people stepped up and donated money, donated time. It was unbelievable chesed. Dear Belly, thank you so much for making us able to host this lunchtime learning program using the amazing shir. We're a group of 25 boys in Hashmonaim High School in London, now learning every lunch l'schus Eretz Yisrael and Klal Yisroel. Unfortunately, we do not have enough sponsors for the food and drink. We are providing a small reward for an incredible amount of learning. This is the poster we made to get the boys to sign up and some pictures of us learning. Thank you, organizers Micha Gross, since Chagiga, Eitan Sheriff, since Gittin, B'Yom Cooper, since Ksubas. Unbelievable. Young kids learning more Torah during the day. This, rabbis, I thought was very interesting. I was, after Shir here yesterday, what time was Shir over? 3-ish? Went home, I had to start preparing for Motzei Shabbos. Sitting on the balcony, and all of a sudden, this is what passed by. What you're hearing, the music, is from this boat. Check this out. Oh, you can't hear it. See the Israeli flag, two from guys, a $1.5 million boat that only could sit like 3-4 people. But it's a beautiful boat, and they were singing Lo Mezingin Anhigin Father Melech. Anyways, it's beautiful. My name is Max. I am a hematology and oncology fellow at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. 2 years ago, I didn't own a book with a Hebrew letter in it. I didn't own a kippah or a mezuzah. I hadn't been to shul in over 10 years. This past Monday, Baruch Hashem, I made a siyum on tractate Kiddushin by learning with your shiurim and reviewing with my Rav, Rabbi Tzvi Schwartz. I want to thank Morty Weinschneider, who I met in Miami, for encouraging me to learn the daf. This reminds me of a story that happened to me today in Miami. In shul, a gentleman comes over to me. 2 gentlemen came over to me, and one of them said, there's somebody in this room in Kiddush that wasn't religious for many years, and he was doing the daf, and he asked him, why are you doing the daf? If you're not religious, he says, I do the daf. He says, today, he's a Shomer Shabbos, and the daf brought him back. So I said, is it you? He said, no, it's not me. So I looked at the other guy. He says, Shalom Aleichem, I do the daf every day. So then I asked the guy that told me the story, I said, do I have to look around the room to find this guy? He said, I don't think so. I think you already met him. And it was a big chizik for me that this guy wasn't religious and he was doing the daf. It was amazing. Not the first time I heard the story. But anyway, here's a person. He wants to thank Morty Weinschneider, who I met in Miami, another Miami story, for encouraging me to learn the daf. We met after davening Ma'ariv, and he offered me to give me a ride home to my hotel. He found out I was starting dating that week, and he told me that he's also looking for shidduch. He told me that Rav Kanievsky said, as good for finding shidduch is to learn 40 days of Kiddushin. He pressed the Gemara into my chest and told me, Daf Yomi is in tractate Kiddushin now. He said, you learn from me and I'll learn for you. He gave me that Gemara and I started learning the daf. And the next day, I kept going past 40 days and made my first siyum ever. I pray that I will merit to complete many more. Thank you for the incredible fun and engaging shir. It has taken me to great heights. I daven and should only continue. Sincerely, Dr. Max Brodsky. And here's a picture of Dr. Max Brodsky at his siyum. Beautiful. Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Gershon Rose, Eli brings yet another massive benefit specifically to this new Masechta. Idus and Beininus. Your mashlim from real estate, your mashalim from real estate are real and tangible. You're living it and bringing examples that come from real life because you've lived it. Really, it turns out that is super relevant. Thank you. And one more, dear Belly, wow, what a Shabbos. We learned, we laughed, we cried, we ate, we got inspired, we ate, we listened, we sang, we ate again, we sold shtenders, we removed, we met the mishpacha, we recruited, we connected, and above all, we gave nachas to Hashem, and then we ate again. A truly epic and incredible experience. My advice for those that didn't manage to attend is to save up now for the Siyam Hashas. My own complaint, the Shabbos went out too early. Huge shkar to all that made it happen. Attention to detail was magnificent. Shimi and Naomi Leafman, Manchester, a Talmud for 844 days. Amazing that 10 people came in from the UK for this. Unbelievable. Yishkoyach Shimi. And finally, the Masechta sponsor for the unity of Am Yisrael, the Paras HaChodesh, Nishmas zechariah ben Moshe, Nishmas Chaya bas Yosef, Paras HaChodesh, refua shlema Dvora, the mother of Gershon Ben Moshe, Paras HaYoim, Moishe Gedalye Lichtenstein, Mazel Tov Chaim Volvovitz, for being mesayim kdushin upon his wedding tonight. Mazel Tov. I don't know what night he means. Oh, Sunday night. And Parnas Hayoim, Mordechai is a Sapoznick, Lzaicher Nishmas, my great grandfather, my namesake, Horav Mordechai ben Aharon, Rabin, Zechariah, who was a direct descendant of the Baal Shem Tov, Zechariah, maybe meiletz yosher, his descendants that carry his name, entire mishpacha, and all of Klal Yisroel. The heart of the month, Yosef is sorrowful, the chusim that come from supporting Limat Torah. Everybody, take a look at this chart right over here and tell me what you think the halacha should be. There are 4 people sitting on a bench, and a pretty heavy fellow, and I say heavy because the Gemara talks about him, calls him heavy. In fact, a lot of Rishonim say that all those guys on the bench are heavy. What should be the halacha if he sits down on the bench and a couple minutes later the bench breaks? What's the halacha? And this is a shaila that's relevant to today. Relevant very much if you live in Ramat Shemesh, if you live in Eretz Yisrael. How is it relevant? Anybody can think of something that's relevant? Who sits on benches these days and breaks them? Well, there's something that breaks very easily, and that's the elevators. Elevator. What if you have 4 people in the elevator and comes a zaftige guy? When he gets onto the elevator, he breaks the elevator. What's the halacha? How do you know that? That is true. That's very good. It's very good. It's a chap. The guy that pushes the button. Very nice. Nachas. All right. So let's see the Gemara Daf Amud Beis, 6 lines from the bottom. So, if you remember, here, take a look at the chart. For those of you who are brand new and haven't learned Bava Kama yet, and haven't been with us, it's very, very simple. The first Mishnah tells us that there are 4 different types of mazikim hezek. There's an ox, and we're talking about specifically the ox. Here, I'll just show you all the things. The ox has 3 things that it could be: keren, shen, and regel. Not to confuse the new guys, we're talking about keren now. We're talking about an ox that gores with his horns. Bar is a pit. Somebody makes a pit. So again, shar is you have a bull, and he goes, this bull damages today. In today's world, it will be, let's say, a dog that bites. A bar, you have a pit. You left open. I could tell you the story that I haven't said in a while, and that is that when my father was a Rebbe in Charyashiv in the 70s, we went to the bungalow colony. I was only about 3 years old. I'm sure you remember the story. And on Shabbos, as a 3-year-old, we decided we're going to build a treehouse. So my good friend, Yitzi Sussman, who was a Rebbe today in Charyashiv, and I and some other kids, we went out to be Michal Shabbos as 3-year-olds, and we were looking for wood, and I found a large piece of wood, large piece of, what do they call it? Plywood. Thank you. Piece of plywood. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is an amazing piece of wood to put as the base of a treehouse. So I lifted up the piece of plywood and I started walking with it to lift it up, and not realizing that it was the cover to the cesspool of the entire bungalow colony. And I fell into the cesspool, and the piece of wood covered me, and my 3-year-old friends didn't know where I was. I just disappeared from the face of the earth. They looked around. I was here 1 minute, and I was gone. Now I'm inside there, like drinking the water and swimming around, and it's geschmack, screaming, and nobody heard me. Anyway, to make a long story short, somebody flushed the toilet supposedly, and it caused like a little bit of a and it shot me up, hit my head in the plywood, and for a moment I had like a 2-inch thing, and I screamed, "Hey!" And they realized I was in there, and they called my father, and I was saying the story over in Chicago, and as I'm saying the story over, Reb Shmuel Brazil, the Rosh Hashiva, walks into the room because he wanted to see my shir. And he says, I was there, and it's a true story. He was there. So if a person has a pit like that, and he opens up the pit, he digs this pit, he's chayav as a mazik. He's a mazik. He caused damage. He caused a kid to fall into it. Now, in that case, they covered it, so everything is good. It's not their fault. And then you have mava, which we're not going to talk about. Hever there's more pizza, boys. I know the item is hungry. Please eat now because it's going to get cold. Seriously, eat. And we have fire. What the Gemara is going to do now is going to tell us, for all the new people and all the old people, what is the difference between a shar and a bar and a fire? What are the pros and the cons? In what way? Why does the Torah have to talk about all these things? Why is it not enough to say, hey, you have a dog that damaged in Am Yisrael, and it covers everything, Lzaicher? Because it doesn't cover everything. Each thing has a specific maila and a chesaron, says the Gemara Tanur Rabban. Let's talk about each one against the other one. If you look at a bull that gores with its horns, or it could gore in other ways with its teeth, but it has a chumrah over a bar. Chumrah just means it has something that a bar doesn't have. And by the way, bar also has something that a shar doesn't have. Otherwise, you wouldn't need bar at all in the Torah and not in the Mishnah. Bar, what are these things? So this is Rabbi Isai. Think about it. If this is your only day doing Daf Yomi, you are going to be learning many, many halachas. You might be embarrassed that you didn't know these things. So it's a great time to start the daf. Every daf is brand new in Shas. Koifer is the concept that when a bull kills a human being, the owner has to pay for the human being. There's a koifer. It's a certain amount of money. Now, that is only for a bull that kills and a shar doesn't have it. If a human being falls into your pit and dies, you don't pay that. When a bull kills a slave, you have to pay 30 shekel. If a slave falls into a pit, you don't pay. Nigmar dinoi asvana. When the bezdin says, okay, we're talking about a shar amud, he's done this 3 times already. The bezdin says, okay, we got to kill this animal. Done. You cannot benefit from this animal whatsoever. But if this animal fell, if something fell into a pit, you could benefit from the pit. Here's the pasuk. First of all, it says in the pasuk, "In koifer yushas olav." So you see the idea of koifer in the Torah. But doesn't mean nafshay. Okay. Then it says like this, real quickly. If a bull kills a human being, a man or a woman, and the person dies, you got to do kill the animal. And then the Torah says, "V'lo can eat the meat." Ubal ashar naki. So the Gemara says, "Naki" means you get 0 benefit from this animal. You cannot sell its horn as a shofar. You can't sell its hide for a sefer Torah. You take it and you bury it. That's it. There's nothing to do with it. It's a special halacha of Israel. Its nature is to go and damage. Bar doesn't have any of these things we just mentioned. It's not osbana. It's not its way to go because it can't go. You don't pay koifer. You don't pay the 30 of evet. And here we have, it says in the pasuk, "V'chiftach ish bar, oy kichmer ish bar." This is a pasuk about bar. V'nof al shama shar oy chamar. Oh, no, this is, I want to say this. Okay, we'll keep this for some other time. Bar has something that a shar doesn't have. It immediately it's created to do damage. Only Keren has this idea of it has to do damage 3 times. The first 3 times, it only pays half the damage. A bar doesn't have that. The first time it causes damage, it pays the full price. Says the Gemara Daf Yomi Amud Aleph on top. Now let's take the shar versus fire. And fire has something that shar doesn't have. We just said these are not chidushin. We just said it compared to a bar. A bull pays for a dead person. Oh, that's why I brought that pasuk. Bar is the pasuk that a bar pays for a shar, not for a human being. That's what you see in this pasuk. Shar, a chamor, and not a human being. Great. A shar has to pay the 30 if he kills a slave. This is the sugi we had yesterday. If you give the bull the cher shayv v'katan, I should have showed that video again for the new guys. What a chaval. Okay, we'll show it to the guys later. So, if you give a bull to a shaita, a katan, and it goes out and does damage, you're chayiv mashenkin be'esh. We said Sfaris yesterday, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's the tzafta, the grip, and his force that cause it, whereas not in fire. Okay, chayim be'esh mi b'shar. What does fire have that a bull doesn't have? Esh moedes mitchilasa. Fire, you're moved right away like a bar. Mashenkin b'shar. Chayim be'esh mi bar. Now, you would say, okay, it seems like fire and bar are the same. The same chumrah that you said by a bar, we said by fire. So why in the world do we need both fire and a bar? Because they're very different. The bar has something that a fire doesn't have. It was created to damage. And when you give it to a deaf mute, in other words, a shaita and a katan, you're chayiv. If you set a fire and there's a human being there and the human being gets burnt, you're potter. Why? Why are you potter? Again, there's a fire, you lit a fire, guy's standing right there, you lit a fire and the fire goes real slow and burns him, kills him. Why are you potter? Because he should have ran away. Now, what if the person dies? The person is tied up. So Rashi says here, you don't have to pay. Why don't you have to pay? Because of the concept of Komle b'derabimene. There's a concept in Shas called Komle b'derabimene, meaning that if you are chayiv misa, then you don't have to pay. You can't get punished twice. It's not double jeopardy, it's something different. You can't be chayiv twice. If you pay with your life, you don't pay anything. So in a case where the guy is tied up and he burned him to death, then he's not chayiv to pay. He's chayiv misa. And if he burnt him alive and he could run away, then he should have ran away. And what's the chumrah that fire has over a pit? Because the fire, its derech, the way it is, its nature is to go and damage. So I want you to remember this line over here. It's an important line for the sugya, that a fire is used to eating anything, things that are good for it and things that are not good for it. It eats everything, consumes everything. Mashenkim babar. What does that mean? We'll have to explain. Says the Gemara, now the Gemara is just going to ask a number of questions. Why don't we say more things? For instance, you should say that a bull has something that a pit doesn't have. Shashor chiev boy esakelim. Mashenkim babar. It's a good halacha to remember that if kalim fall into a pit, you potter. The owner of the pit is potter. But if your bull goes ahead and damages kalim, you're chayiv. Again, if somebody's walking with his iPhone or something, he's busy texting and he trips in a pit, and his phone goes into the pit and breaks, he's potter. But if your bull, your dog, goes and bites somebody's phone, it's chayiv. So why don't you say that nafkamina? Says the Gemara, Mani Rabbi Yehudi. It's a little bit of a cheshbon. It's kedai to remember every step here. The reason why it's not mentioned is because it goes according to Rabbi Yehuda, who doesn't hold to this halach. The mechayiv on this kelim bebar, because Rabbi Yehuda holds that if kalim fall on a bar, you're chayiv. Ask the Gemara, okay, you're telling me it's Rabbi Yehuda, so then everything has to be Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, I'm a seifa. So how does he explain the next part? There's a chumrah that fire has over a pit, because fire goes in zmazik. Remember, we just read that line before, that fire eats things that it's not even for, it's not normal for it to eat. It eats everything, consumes everything. Now, what does that mean? What's normal for fire? You throw in some firewood. And what's not normal? iPhones, computers, chairs, tables. It's not normal for it. Bar consumes everything. Everything that goes over, it's normal for a lot of things to fall into a bar. How can you make a distinction between wood and kalim? Rabbi is the one that says that kalim yichayiv. So the way to get out of this question is to say that davar haroila is something else. You thought davar haroila means wood versus kalim. No, something else. Eloila am rabbanani. So first the Gemara tries something else. Okay, so it's not Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbanan. So then the question is, if it's Rabbanan, I have a gewaldige difference that we didn't mention. The difference is kalim. How come you don't say that a shar is chayiv if it breaks an iPhone, and a bar is potter if it breaks an iPhone? How come that's not in here, and the difference is between a shar and a bar? Says the Gemara, the famous answer, classic. Tana v'shir. Sometimes we have a list of things, and we don't put everything in the list. But that's the next question always in Shas is, if there's a list and you're missing things from the list, you have to at least be missing 2 things. You can't give me a list of 25 things and say, you know what, I didn't say number 26 because I didn't put everything in the list. Sometimes you do that if you at least omit 2 things. But one thing doesn't make any sense. Once you're making a list, you compile a list, put that one thing in there. If you want to make a short list and you're going to take out 2 items, great. So we have to come up with the second item. My shir da shir, shir tamon. Oh, something that's hidden. If you have something hidden in a bale of hay, let's say, the iPhone is inside the bale of hay, you're potter if it catches on fire. But when it comes to a bar, there's an interesting Rashi here, and they explain Rashi. Rashi talks about the kelim on top of a behema, and everybody asks, we just said kelim yuchayev. So they explain there's another Rashi, and maybe that's the pshat in this Rashi over here also. We're talking about an animal inside a sack. The animal's covered. If the animal's tamon, he's covered, and it falls into a pit, then you're chayev. You're chayev for the animal. All animals that fall into a pit, you're chayev, even if they're tamon. But if it's fire, then you're potter. So again, we have 2 differences between a bar and fire. When it comes to tamon, fire, you're potter, and bar, you're chayev. Kalim, you're potter in a bar. Kalim, you're chayev in a shar. So maybe we have 2 items that didn't make it to the list. Or we could answer, we'll say the pshat is like Rabbi Yehuda. You asked me before that Dover Royla, there's something that's normal for fire to consume, and we said it means wood. And what's not normal, kalim, and we said, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, kalim you're chayiv. No, you made a mistake. Lav lasui kalim. If you remember in the beginning of the Masechta, we already had this lashon that if a fire went ahead and how do you say it? Like darkened up the stones, burnt the stones. What? Singed, scorched. Shkoyach, shalom aleichem. What are you doing here, by the way? Givaldik. Shkoyach. It's a good thing you came. Singed. That's what it means. That's not roy. Sometimes flames go up a wall and then burn a wall. That's not normal for it. Mazel Tov Chaim. I have another question. Here's another thing that a shar is more chomer than a bar. You see how many halachas we learn in these dapim? It's unbelievable. Psulei hamikdashim means that if a person designates an animal as a carbon, that carbon you cannot use, you can't do anything with it. And then the carbon befalls a mum. Comes about mum. So it's a psul mikdashim. What do? You redeem it. And you're allowed to eat the meat, no problem. However, there's certain limitations to it. Yeah, even psul mikdashim that you redeem, one of the limitations is that you can't feed this animal, you can't feed this dead animal. You could eat it. You can't feed it to your dog. You can't feed it to your animals. The problem is, check out this pasuk. Where is it? Over here. The pasuk says that the dead animal should be his. His means his. You do whatever you want with it. It means even to give it to your animal, feed it to whoever you want, to your friend, to yourself, to your animal. That's v'hamesi eloi. So as soon as the pasuk says v'hamesi eloi, we know that's not referring to psulei hamikdashim. In other words, if this psulei hamikdashim fell into the pit, shashar chiyav b'yishar psulei hamikdashim, the shar would be chayiv if it killed this psulei hamikdashim. Again, psulei hamikdashim is an animal that became possible to bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because it's a balmum. It was grazing before you brought it to the Beis Hamikdash. It broke its leg, so you can't bring it on the mizbeach. So if a shark comes and kills it, chayiv. If it falls into a pit, potter. Why? Because it says v'hamesi eloi. And at the end of the day, you can't use it for everything you want. So you can't be referring to shar. So we have another nafkamina. I did shire hach shir nam hach. According to Rabbanon, we have two things on the list that didn't make it: Tamon and Kalim. So now we have a third thing. Great. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, you didn't leave anything off the list. So why did I only leave out one thing, which is Psulei Mikdashim? Says no, Shir Dash B'Niroi. You did leave something off. The Dash B'Niroi. That what? That if the animal went ahead, somebody plowed a field, comes your bull, and is having a lot of fun on the plowed field, goes and mushes the dirt right back into where it came from. So now you have to hire another tractor and redo it. So that's something halacha. Listen to this. It sounds funny. That's halacha that only applies to a shar. And guess what? It doesn't apply to a bar. Because it's impossible that a bar will go and flatten out a field. So you're saying it's not shayah b'mitzias. I hear. Says the Gemara, I don't like that. Why? We already said that the nafkamin in a bar is that a bar doesn't go and damage. So here's the case that doesn't go and damage. So you can't make that into two cases. Fine. We learned in the Mishnah that if a person does a little bit of damage, a little bit, Rabbi said is very important to us, these halachas. Why? Maybe not you guys live in Tower 41 with all the beautiful elevators and stuff, but also in Tower 41. Us in Ramat Shemesh, the elevator is small, could only hold 5 people max. And once in a while, after Geshmaka, Suda Shabbos, Matzah Shabbos, even 5 people, not a good idea. It tells you, there's a little symbol, like a guy on a scale, and it shows you like this. It won't go. Now, says the Gemara, if a guy did a little bit of damage, so he has to pay like the whole thing. What's the case? I think he did real quickly, and this was 2-3 in the morning. What time is 9 o'clock at night in Eretz Yisrael? 9 o'clock here.
4 a.m.
4 a.m. This is Yoshi doing something at 4 a.m. Literally, because I spoke to him 10 minutes before Shir, and he said, "I'm working on this. I'm going to do something really, really quick." I didn't see it yet. Let's see what he did. This guy did 9. Okay, and he did 1 tefach for a total of 10. Because we know, and the wearing tzitzis is gewaldig, we know that 10 tefachim kills an animal. Less than 10 damages an animal. So says this Rabbi Sai, where do you have the most boyros in the world? In Gaza. Unfortunately. Well, maybe not in the world, but one of the top countries in the world that have tunnels and all this stuff. Chayfer bar. Ha-chayfer bar tisha. Uba acher shlim la'asara. So we're going to learn beautiful sugis here with very, very nice svaras. If a person digs 9, comes the other one and does the 10th, says the Gemara Aharon chayev. The last guy is chayev, whether the animal died or whether the animal was damaged. And we're going to have to see. Rashi says we're going to learn later on from the Psukim. It's very interesting because you would think, listen, the first guy did 9. There's enough in the 9 to damage. The next guy did Misa. He did 1 extra tefach, which creates death. Okay, so he should be chayav on death. When something's damaged, both of them should share in it. I don't know, whatever. No, the last guy should have to pay. Lzaicher Rebbe. This goes not like Rebbe, which is interesting because who wrote the Mishnah? Rebbe. So what he wrote in the Mishnah doesn't go according to him. Somebody dug a pit that's 9. Comes another person and adds 1 tefach and makes it 10. Aharon chayev. Rabbi Yomer Aharon lemisa shnei lenizaken. Says Rebbe, like I would have thought maybe that the last one, you're right, he created a death trap because we learned that 9 doesn't kill. And if an animal dies in 9, it's not from the pit. He had a pre-existing condition. Thank you. But this guy made it 10, so he created a pit that kills. but the 9 already causes damage. So the guy that added 1 tefach didn't create damage. Damage already existed. Says Rabbi, therefore both of them should be chayav. Papa Amar Lemisa v'direi. No, our Mishnah is talking about that he added 1 tefach just for we're only talking about the death part. And that goes even according to Rabbi. Everybody agrees that the last guy is chayav. Some say that it goes like this. Maybe this doesn't go like Rabbi. Our Mishnah doesn't go. All right, Papa Lemisa. It goes like Rabbi. Our Mishnah doesn't go like Rabbi because we're not talking about nizakin. We're talking about misa. Okay. There's other cases. Not only this pit that went from 9 to 10. There's another story. You have a wild bull, one of these professional bulls that they use in the stadiums, a meshugana bull. You need 5 people minimum to tame this guy, to hold on to him, to schlep him around. And one of them decided to take a nap, napped on the job, and he caused damage. Chayav. That 5th guy that decided to take it easy, he's chayav. Says Gemara Chidami, what's the case? If you need 5 people, he's such a wild chayav, wilde chayav, you need 5, and without him, he's gonna create damage. Pshita, do you cover it? Of course, the 5th guy is chayav. What's the chiddush? No, he doesn't. You don't need 5. You need only 4. My covet. So then what did he do by leaving? So it can't be. That's not a good case. I have another case. There's a fire. There's a fire that's going from here to there. It's going 3 feet. Comes a guy and brings a bunch of straw and lays it out on the floor all the way to that wall. And when it gets to the wall, burns the building down. So that is somebody that did something. Look, he lit the fire. Ruvain lit a fire. It could only go 2 feet. If it goes 2 feet, it does 0. Comes Shimon and says, "Oh, there's a fire." He likes to play with fire. He wants to see how this building's going to burn. He takes a wick and just stretches the fire out all the way to the building, and it burns down the building. Says Gemara Hechidami Daf Yomi Amud Beis. If without him it didn't go anywhere, so it's pashut that he's chayiv. So it's not miktsas nisko, says Rashi. It's kol nisko. He did everything. Now, Rabbi Isai, just take now, without looking inside in your art scrolls and everything, look at me for a second. I want you to think for 20 seconds, is there a difference? Because this is what Gemara is all about, understanding differences between different cases. Is there a difference between this case, that a guy made a fire, let's call it 9 tefachim of a fire, comes the second guy and makes 1 extra tefach of a fire, and it reaches the building and burns the building down? Is that different than a guy that dug 9 tefachim in a bar, and comes another guy and digs another tefach? Is there a difference logically? Could you think of a svara to make a difference, a distinction between the 2 cases? Anyway. I said 20 seconds. Think. Here the fire could go 9 tefachim and would stop, and he added 1 tefach and it got to the building, where a guy dug 9 tefachim and comes another guy and made it 10 tefach. Okay, what are you saying?
Fire would have gotten there anyway. Yeah, 9 tefachim, and it would kept going.
No, it would stop at 9. Stop dead at 9.
9 tefachim pit will cause damage.
Oh.
So that's the difference.
No.
Because the fire wasn't going to cause any damage if the second person would have come.
Right.
If the guy.
But it causes it could travel. It travels 9 tefachim, and you added 1 tefach. Yeah.
But nothing was going to happen.
Nothing's going to happen. Okay. Anybody else?
The board is always stationary, and the fire has it's always.
So you're saying the opposite?
It's nature is the best. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
So Rashi says like him. Rashi says the fire, its nature is to advance, but in this case, it's on a sidewalk, it's on concrete, it's going to die out after 9 tefachim. It's 0. Once it gets to 9, it's just going to die. How's it going to continue? You added that extra tefach, you did everything. halachically, in logic, you did 100%. That the guy that did 9 tefachim did 0, because as is 9 tefachim is 0, and you added 1 tefach, so you basically took a torch and lit the building. That's what you did. You did everything. When it comes to a pit, the first guy did a lot. He did 90% of the damage. He created a pit that if you fall into it, you're going to break all your legs and most of your bones. You might survive. The other guy came and he added another tefach, kills the animal. Okay, but the first guy had a lot to do with it. Says the Gemara. Elo, in this case, the belav iu azla, my kovet. So you're talking about a fire that without him it doesn't go anywhere. So what did he do? He didn't do anything. Fine. Mazel Tov Tanya. And now we get to this case. Oh, I wanted to show you this passage before. No, this is for later. Okay, so here's the story again. 5 people sat on a bench and they didn't break it. They're sitting, minding their own business, reading the newspapers. Comes a guy. The guy comes and breaks the bench. The last guy has to pay because it wasn't breaking without him. He caused all the damage. Papa Barabba was a heavy set fellow, or a tzaddik. He's very heavy, and it has to be like him. So Tosfos points out here, because it's very interesting, that if he wasn't heavy, there's something called mesa machmas malacha. If a person puts out a bench, you have it in different places. People put benches. There are Mapet Shemesh. You have, I told you, like when you walk up a hill, a lot of people have water fountains. People do chesed for other people. I was actually wondering how come there's no benches from, I walked a half hour from where I'm at, all the way to Tower 41, half hours. Like, where's the benches? But I'm almost 51, plus the 16 flights of stairs. 16 flights. Yeah, anyway, they didn't let me do it. I said, it's my mishagas. I don't go in an elevator on Shabbos. Even though it has a yosher and everything's perfect, you guys go. They refused to go, and they climbed the stairs with me. Everyone. Well, there's 5 guys. They all climbed the stairs. Very nice of them. I was upset about it, but whatever. So if you have a bench that's meant for people to sit on, then if you sit on it and it breaks, you're potter. Yeah? Everybody has their story. I had one of my uncles that we haven't seen in many, many years. He came to our house in Eretz Yisrael, and he sat on a chair, and poof, it was a big busha. Anyways, for us. So it's Mesa Machmas Law. He's not chayev. But if you're heavy, then that's what the Gemara is saying. You're heavy, you shouldn't be sitting on it. Then it's not Machmas Malacha. It's a little bit, which reminds, okay, we're not going to go into this, so we don't have time now. So, that therefore, Tosfos says it's possible that all 5 people were heavy. Because if they weren't heavy, then they're all potter. Anyway, to begin with. Okay. That's very interesting. You ever wonder how come here in America there's a lot of heavy people? Everybody has to go on a diet. I mean, heavy, meaning we all, including myself, have to be on a diet. Why? Because maybe we can learn from Papa Barabba. The Gemara says in Chulin that he used to catch animals. He used to trap animals and he used to eat them. In fact, in Shabbos, the Gemara says that his sons asked, how can we tell that it's Shabbos? We eat meat all week long and we drink wine all week long. So, in what is Simcha Shabbos? So, I think that's the issue here. We eat and eat meat yoimim v'layla here. There's always a bar mitzvah and a chasana and restaurants. We're mamish pounding meat. It's Noirvayim. Here it is. So, happens to be, I think we're the first koilel in history in MDY. I offered the guys money for losing weight. To lose weight, a certain amount, every kilo to lose, we gave them an increase in their salary. And happens to be that when I moved to Eretz Yisrael, so a lot of my friends, they were very heavy. And I said, there's a show in America called The Biggest Loser. We're going to do The Biggest Loser. Everybody put in like 500 shekel into a pot. And the one that loses the most weight, is gonna win. Now they said, well, it's not fair because you didn't have to lose any weight. I didn't have to lose weight then. So I said, I know, but I'm going to put the money in just to be mechazik dailam. And unfortunately, I won the pot. I lost the most weight. Seriously. Mazel Shaya. And since then, 3 of those guys got the surgery, and I can say that they're all. Okay, so going back to our question, you know what? We could go for a second more over here. It says like this. What's the case? If without him, it wouldn't break. Pshito. He broke it. If the bench can hold 5 people, he's a 6th person that comes along, so he's chayev. Elo, it would have broken anyway without him. My covet. So then what did the 6th person do? Nothing. Says Gemara, soif. Okay, so Mamela, that's why we're not counting it, because it doesn't make sense. What? Something's off here. But at the end of the day, it's such a good question you're asking. So how do you explain this Mishnah? So Rashi says, you only say soif over here because it's a real Mishnah. The other ones are brises. This is important for us to figure out what's going on. What's pshat? Again, you hear the question? If it would have broken anyways, so why should it be chayev? If it wouldn't break without him, so what's the chiddush? He broke it. Pretend the other 5 guys weren't there. He sat on a bench. He broke the bench. He's chayev. Who cares about the other 5 people? What's going on here? It would have broken after 2 hours. Or 2 minutes, whatever it is. And now it broke after 1 hour. They could say to him, we were planning to stand up after a few moments and go weiter. You made it go quicker, and therefore you should be chayev. So you should tell them, without you, it wouldn't have broke. So here's a very, very interesting shayla. This is something I wouldn't have thought about. To me, it doesn't make sense logically, but the Gemara says it. There's a taina, when he sits down on the bench, he could tell them, you should get up. The guy walks into the elevator and the thing goes like this, the scale shows it's not. So you can tell the other guys, you guys should leave the elevator, not me. Why me? So you'll say, but logically you were the last one. The last one should get up. No. The Gemara says he has a good taina. Number 6 could tell the other 5 guys, you should have stood up. And that is a good taina for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure why. But in terms of the elevator, that's what he was saying, that Rav Nisim Karel says that it's not the last guy or the first guy, it's the guy that pushes the button. Because the guy that pushes the button, he's the one that broke it. It started going up, and then I got stuck on a certain floor. That's his problem. He shouldn't have pushed the button. It's not going into the elevator as much as pushing the button to go up the elevator. That's what he tightens. Anyway, says the Gemara, what happened was, he didn't sit down. He went over to his friends and he leaned on the shoulder. Hey, what's going up, guys? What's going on? And poof, it broke. So, pshita. Mal the same interesting svara also. I'm not exactly 100% sure how it works. I would think that leaning is not like you sitting. The Talmud of the Rabin Tam says maybe the svara is because they struggle with what could be the logic in that. Why is sitting down with my whole body different if I lean? Because leaning is not as heavy, not as much. So I think maybe you're potter. Maybe it's not as bad. No, your pressure, your force that you put on another person, that's like your own body. Okay. Says Gemara, we have more cases. Person beat up. Listen to this. Nebuch. Guy got beat up by 10 people. With 10 bats, whatever it is. Whether it was together, one after another, and the guy died, so what's the svar that they should be potter? So Rashi here says because we don't know who killed him. And others say the pshat is that you have to have k'dei misa in each one, and you didn't have k'dei misa. So let me just find this here. Oh, there's a pasuk that says, here's the pasuk, Vishki Yake Kol Nefesh. There's a pasuk in Vayikra, Kol Nefesh. So Rabbi Yehuda learns Kol Nefesh means any part of the Nefesh. In other words, you have a guy that's about to die. He's going to die anyway. And this is a Yisoid in Yiddishkeit. Every moment of life is life. I had a friend, my friend that lives here, he still lives here in North Miami Beach. His daughter drowned, and they took her out, but she survived for another like 2 years. And there's a big fight. The doctors here held that they have to pull the plug, and he said not. He said, okay, so take her home, and he dealt with her for 2 years. Why? Because a Yid believes that every moment, especially if a person is alive and he can still do mitzvahs and say Amen, and then make a bracha and be Mekadshim Shemayim, every moment, there's no such thing as, oh, he's going to die anyway. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, Kol nefesh, kol, any moment that this person could live. Yeah, he got beat up with a bat 9 times over the head. But you came and you did the last one, you're a killer. You're a tzayach. Because you're a tzayach because you hastened the death. You made it closer than it was supposed to be. You're supposed to live for another 10 minutes. You took away 10 minutes of this guy's life. And every minute in this world, you could do olam u'malai. So we have a case of that. You tell me there's one case of a bar, 9 tefachim, 10 tefachim. Here's another case, 9 humans and 1 human. 9 people hit the guy, and the final guy did the damage. It should also be in the Mishnah. The final guy is chai. Says Gemara, we're not talking about death. We're talking about killing. We're not talking about people killing. We're not talking about killers. It's machlokes. Well, we did have a machlokes, and we said it's not like Rabbi, right? Before in Amud Aleph, we said, oh, maybe you should say this doesn't go like Rabbi. It's machlokes. Like Rabbi, when it's Rabbi against Rabbanon, we said the halach is like Rabbanon. That's the Rav, so that's great. However, over here, it's Rabbi Yehuda ben Moshe. You want to say that halach is like Rabbi Moshe, that he says kol, that even a little bit, that guy's chayiv. V'loik Rabbanon who say he's potter, loy mikmin. That's not good to say a mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda ben Moshe, like a yachid against the rabbi. Chavti b'teshlumin niskoy. Says Gemara, chavti b'niskoy loikatani, that you're chayiv in the nezek. So this is a very interesting shayla. Think about it for a second before you look inside. Think about it. My dog kills your animal. So I have to pay for the animal. How much do I have to pay? A bull costs, let's say $2,000, right? I used to buy a lot of bulls back in the day. Bemis, right? When I had a meat business. Shvach, don't go into that. $2,000. Now, your dog killed my bull. How much do you have to pay me? $2,000? Or you say, listen, you keep the dead bull. Do whatever you want. Sell it. I don't know. To sell it as halal, even though it's not halal. Pretend it's halal, whatever. You sell it to some guy or whatever. Yeah, it's worth something, right? Whose problem is it, this dead animal? Does the guy start from scratch? He gets a brand new animal, $2,000? Or he gets only $1,000? Let him deal with the dead animal. It's a good child. So the Gemara says, he's only chayev the difference between a dead animal and a live animal. In other words, he only has to pay $1,000. He doesn't have to pay $1,000, $2,000. Let the owner of the animal deal with the dead animal. Terrible thing. It says in the Mishnah, Tashlumi nezek. You see that from the Mishnah, that the owner has to deal with that animal, and it's a yisoid in life as well, that you don't have to start from scratch. A lot of people think that if they do the daf, they can't. Just this week, 5 people told me the same thing. They think that if they started the daf in Bava Kama, they have to go back all the way to brachas, they have to make up for lost time. It's not true. Shas is a Ferris wheel. The day you start, even if you start on daf Yud in Bava Kama, that's the day that you started Shas, and you're going to finish Shas in daf Tes. It just goes around in a circle. You don't have to go. And it's in many things in life. You don't have to, yes, you did tshuva. We're starting from here. We start from here on out. You pay the difference between the dead animal. You don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to go all the way back and pay. Fine. Zog Gemara. Binani Mili. How do we know this? We have 3 limudim here, and the Gemara is going to tell us that we need all 3. That you pay elo yashlimeno. You have to make it up. You have to make the difference. You don't have to pay the whole thing. You have to yashlimeno. It's a play on words. It says by Yosher Mesachar Yitaref, if you're watching an animal, they're paying you to watch an animal. Just remind you, if anybody knows, there's a house on Pine Tree. I think it's owned by a from person. Beautiful, massive house. And the entire Shabbos, I saw 2 guards in the front. Anybody know what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Stop.
It's not a from guy. It's a rapper.
Yeah, DJ Khaled.
It says Happy Thanksgiving on the thing.
2 guys outside.
2 guys outside and 1 guy in an unmarked car. The entire Shabbos from morning to evening. Yeah? He's a famous DJ. Got it. Okay. Just wondering. I thought maybe because of the matzah, what? Yeah, I don't know. Really? Not like this. Because there's a nice, the guy has a tinted windshield. You can't even see the ruins, and all of a sudden I saw him come out. It's a security thing. Whatever. Okay, fine. He's there the whole day. It's 2-3 guys just in that one spot. Crazy. I guess people just come in there. They want to say Shalom Aleichem. So again, there's another play on words. It says that if you're watching an animal and all of a sudden a wolf comes and grabs one of the animals, aid means a witness, right? You don't have to pay the treif. So we learn ad instead of aid, because in the Torah there's no nakudas in the Torah. Ad treif yishalem. Up until treif atzmi lo yishalem. You see from here, you don't have to pay for the actual carcass. You only have to pay the difference between a dead animal and a live animal. And the third thing is chizki amar v'achav. Amesi eloi lenizok. The amesi eloi means that the damaged party gets the dead animal. Chizki amesi eloi lenizok. Atam lenizok. Who told you that Amesi eloi is going on the nizok? Maybe it's on the mazik. Amris loikachoya. That's it. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? If you think that the nevela goes to the one that damaged, not the person that was damaged, but the one that damaged, the mazik, here's the pasuk. You pay an ox for an ox. What does it mean? Just stop right there. You have to pay an ox instead of an ox. Mesi Eloi means Lamali, Shma Min Nizuk. Comes to say that goes to the Utzricha. So we need all 3 limudim. The Kazer Rachmana Makabemi Shalmena. By the way, you'll get used to it. Amud Beis is always quicker and always easier than Amud Aleph. The Kazer Rachmana Makabemi Shalmena. If we talk about the Pazi Makabemi Shalmena Mishum Shchicha, it's not so common that a person goes ahead and kills an animal. Aval Treifa. The shchicha emeloi, but it's shchiach that you hire a shepherd to take care of your flock, and comes a wolf and grabs one. So think that he should have to deal with the dead animal. It's common. Take care of it. Tzricha. And if I say it happened by itself. The Shem Tov didn't do anything. Comes a wolf and grabs it. That's not you. Something else. It's outside source. But when which is, let me just see for a second. Oh, Makin Nefesh Behema. Makin Behema, the Biyadayim, you, human being, you did a Biyadayim, Emaloi. If you'd say the human being and the Shem Yisrael. When it comes to a human being killing an animal, it's not common. And when it comes to Shem Yisrael, he didn't do anything. Came an outside source. A wolf came and grabbed. Wolf. Rashi says wolf, not me. Comes a wolf and grabs one of the animals. It's not you. It happened by itself. But when your bull goes ahead and damages, so it's not an outside source, it's your source, and it's common. I would think you should deal with the carcass. This is a beautiful question, Rabbi, and then we're done for today. It's only because the Torah says that the nizuk, the one that is damaged, gets the dead body. As the Gemara, it's common sense that the nizuk should get the dead body. Why? Think about it. How do you pay a nizuk every time? You can pay him with bran. You can pay him with anything you want, we learned. So why can't you pay him with a dead body? Here's a bunch of dead bodies. Again, let's say that the dead animal goes to the mazik. Okay, so it goes to the mazik. Comes the mazik, says, here, I have a delivery for you. Gives it right back to him. He's allowed to pay with whatever he wants. Any currency goes. Dead animals, a bunch of bran that you have no use for anyways. It'll take you 400 years to finish it in your yogurt. What are you going to do with bran? So what are you going to do with dead body? Let him at least sell to a guy. I don't know what. It's a beautiful kasha. It goes to the mazik. If the mazik has a bunch of dead animals, he could pay the nizik with it. You're allowed to pay with bran. So if it's his own animal, he owned it to begin with, just leave it there. No, the chiddush is that until they figured out that the animal's dead and this and that, it went down in value. Now it starts smelling. Now you can't even sell it for meat. Now the only thing you have is a couple of horns and a little hide. Whose problem is that? The nizuk. The one that's damaged, he has to suffer the consequence. We're going to give the mazik as if this animal is perfectly fresh. And everything that happened afterwards, that's all up on the nizuk. That's the chiddush. Rabbi, have a wonderful day. Yishkoyach for joining. And we'll see you tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, at 9 o'clock.